when he started coming out of that egg. And like literally like cringing, like, oh my God, no. I remember I was telling Moose this last night, we were watching the first night we got there for the Thanksgiving show, and there's this egg, gigantic egg sitting next to the ring. Okay, like, what the hell's with the egg? It seemed weird. I just figured like one of their decorations, how they would set stuff about the different props and stuff around the building. Never saw Hector get into the Gobbledy Gooker, Hector Guerrero, the great Hector Guerrero. I never saw him get into the character, the costume, and certainly never saw him load up into the egg. But I remember watching on the monitor when he started coming out of that egg, and like literally like cringing, like, oh my God, no. Hector was a great worker. Comes from, of course, the great Guerrero family. And to do that to him is just like, okay, I'm sure there's probably some young kid going, oh, mommy, there's a turkey on TV. But like the fan base, the wrestling, the core audience that you're playing to are all looking at this and going, what the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
And again, I think it was all that was wrong that would later give rise to the Attitude Era, right? Like the backlash to that. That, again, one of the articles I read the other day said that other than Taker, Mick, Austin, and The Rock, take those four out, and it wasn't a very profitable era. It wasn't a very successful era. So people, I think, today, even like when we hear Attitude Era, you think, okay, like big ratings and all that. And, when you start splicing down into it a bit, not quite as much so as you would have thought it to be, or the way that they portended to be. But that, I think, was definitely a backlash to all of that. Like, I'm sure there must have been a lot of fans going like, dude, like, what the fuck? And, the argument back was, okay, let's go way over this way then.
With the egg, because you brought the egg up, right? So apparently there's a lot of theories within the business about who's going to come out of the egg. Do you remember at the time what you thought was going to happen? Because there was a couple of, I won't tell you what they are yet, I'll tell you after what you say, what other wrestlers thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I don't recall hearing that night. Honestly, I'm pretty sure I was believing like, okay, this is just like some sort of corny prop out here because it's Thanksgiving. What the connection was with Thanksgiving, I don't know.
Well, the egg actually travelled like to Superstars tapings and stuff like that for like a couple of months beforehand, and they just go, here is an egg, it's going to hatch at Survivor Series, and that's it.
Oh, I don't recall that portion of it, but seeing it, I'm sure I must have at the time, but it just really seemed corny. And I don't remember hearing any other names. So I'm curious to hear like who were the other candidates.
Well, there are two names that I heard, or the other wrestlers believed it was going to be at the time. One was Ric Flair, thought they were going to come out of the egg, and the other one they thought was going to be the debuting Undertaker.
Oh, that would have been horrific.
I know, yeah.
Now the thing with Flair, especially at that time, was this 90, 91?
Yep. Survivor Series 1990, so yeah, Thanksgiving 1990.
Okay. So this, had it been Flair coming out of there, it would have been oh my effing God, right? Like, holy shit, Flair's here. But not in a turkey costume, hopefully. If that robe would have come out of there and the playing of 2001 Space Odyssey, I think that would have been like an oh my effing God moment. Like, wow. And I don't know if that was maybe going to be it and then pulled back, but I'd never heard either of those names. I shouldn't say I'd never heard it. Maybe if I did, I certainly didn't register in my memory. I just remember like the cringiness of watching poor Hector doing this, and thinking like, oh man, not what the industry needs right now. And it was just another thing that was digressed. Now, I understand from Vince's point of view, to be fair, I'll try to give the compendium point of view. Vince believed in going after what he called the tweener, the 10, 11, 12-year-old, because let's face it, if you go to a show tonight, yeah, you might call a buddy up or so, maybe take your wife, but we're going to sell one or two tickets. But if you bring your two sons and two of their friends and mommy and daddy and maybe your brother, because he's a big fan, now you're selling, 6, 7, 8 tickets. So some economic wisdom there, but you'd have to ask yourself, like, are those people, is your brother going to come and your wife going to want to come if you're bringing a guy in a chicken costume or a turkey outfit out of an egg? Yeah, the kids want to go, oh, great, this is great, Uncle James, but the rest of you are going like, yeah, So there's point counterpoint. My contention was then and is now that was taking wrestling so far in the wrong direction that, and I don't know, like from Vince's point of view, this was like, okay, we got to get rid of the idea about Bruno and Dominic and all that great generation because we're going to do something different. It's I really can't say what was going through Vince's head. It just seemed to me that wrestling was off on this really, as a comic book mark, I always thought wrestling was like comic books come to life. That too, but like in a bad way. Like the comic books you look at and go, like Howard the Duck. Okay, yeah, sorry, ain't reading that one. So it's again the point counterpoint. Like I thought wrestling was heading off the tracks at that point.